Welcome to Inside Sim Racing. I'm Billy Strange, and in this edition of Test Drive, we will be checking out the newly released Corvette Daytona prototype in Forza Motorsport 6, part of their Meguiar's car pack. We're taking 3 laps around Sebring against the AI, currently using a Thrustmaster TX, wheelbase 599 Evo rim, and Ricmotech GT Pro 1 pedals. Adjustments made to the car. Did a little brake balance adjustment, went from 50 to 53. That's towards the front end of the car. It was a little unstable under braking, but not bad. Lessened the brake pressure because I had a little bit of lockup, down to 95%. Also shortened the gear ratio up to 3. As you'll see, I end up running out of gear down the straightaway a little too long for my liking, so we probably could go back to about a 2.85. Somewhere around there. Make it this tight hairpin. Just trying to keep my nose clean. Make it through. The interesting thing with this car also is at 540 degrees of rotation, which these cars I believe run somewhere in the neighborhood of about 420, 450. It's somewhere in that neighborhood of degrees of rotation in real life. The car felt way too twitchy. No matter what settings I changed, it was just too much. So what I ended up doing, and I haven't done this before, I actually went the opposite way with the degrees of rotation. I went all the way back to 900, and I actually lessened the force feedback because it was so heavy, just a little bit. I went from 85 down to 80, 900 degrees of rotation, and it actually took care of most of the, in fact, all of the twitchiness that the car had, which is interesting. I haven't done that before in FM6, but it seems to have worked, so maybe I'll try that in some other ones that I felt the steering was very poorly implemented. Also, we changed the damper settings in the front end, so I softened them up just a little bit because I felt like the car had too much of a push on entry and in the center of the corner. So what I did was softening that front end. That changes the weight, how fast the weight transfers from front to back and corner to corner. So in road racing, most of the time, not always, but most of the time, you're going to change the front and the back. You're not going to change it individually, like right front, left front. You're not typically going to have different settings. Maybe at Daytona or something like that, but there's compression and rebound. Compression is, just as it sounds, how fast the shock goes, compresses itself under load. So when you hit the brake, the front end dives, that's compressing the suspension, so that's letting the shock compress. And then when you get on the gas, it tries to lift the front end because the rear tires are getting grip. It's trying to pull, basically, the tires are trying to pull itself underneath the car. Well, that's obviously not going to happen, so the first thing that happens instead is the front end rises. That's your rebound. So that's how fast the shock starts to extend. In this case, I needed more front end presence, so I needed the weight transfer quicker to the front end to put weight on the nose of the car to effectively try and gain more grip. So softening that compression helps do that. And then in the center of the turn, I wanted more steering. So from entry to center, we changed the roll bar setting. I softened the roll bar. That changes lateral transition in relation to the rear end of the car, so that front end has a little more flex to it, might bite a little better. You go too far, obviously, then it can cause problems, but just softening up that front sway bar just a little bit seems to have really helped the DP car out quite a bit. Yeah, and after those transitions, or after those changes, the car seems to work quite well. I actually enjoyed driving the car in its initial state, especially with that lower degree of rotation. The car was almost undrivable. So maybe that's something you can try. I'm going to try it on a few other things when I come back to Forza with some cars that I feel are too twitchy, and give you that front end push to snap oversteer. In fact, John and I were talking about it, and it was interesting that he likened it to having torque steer in a front wheel drive car, which is pretty close to how that feels. So we're sliding up through the gears, up into 6th, and we've got 4th place. This is a fairly easy corner to overdrive, as I drove in just a little too far and a little too much brake. Another corner that's easy to overdrive. Sebring is not my best track. I often struggle trying to get around here. It's very flat, and there's lots of high-speed corners to low-speed transitions, which can make it very tricky. Trying to chase down a 908. Now, once again, I know this would probably never happen. In fact, I'm pretty sure it would never happen. But I'm not a guy that, I can only hot lap so much. In fact, I don't typically like to do a hot lap session. I typically enjoy running against other cars and try to have a somewhat competitive race. That's what I enjoy. And there's a 2nd place against the AI. So once again, Corvette DP in its initial state isn't so great, but making the changes that I have suggested, hopefully, if you're interested in driving the car, you can look forward to actually making some laps with it, at least the way it is on the Sebring circuit. So thanks for watching. Hit that like button if you would, if you enjoyed the video. If you've got any suggestions for our test drive series that involves, car, track, sim, whatever you got, go ahead and leave it in the comments below. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do so at strange_Billy. Also, my Xbox Live profile is Red Cypher, so you can friend me there if you feel so inclined. Alright, that's it for this video. I'll let the replay run out a little bit, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Take care.